I'm back with another video. In today's lesson, I'll be explaining 15 commonly used and practical English phrases that if you learn and start using, you will speak English like native speakers at the same level as native speakers do. So let's get started without further ado. The first English phrase commonly used by native speakers in their speech and also spoken language is otherwise known as. Otherwise known as. Otherwise known as. What is the meaning of otherwise known as? Otherwise known as means also known as, also called. So when we say otherwise known as, we're talking about something which is also called something. An example, have you ever been to New York, otherwise known as the Big Apple? Have you ever been to New York, otherwise known as the Big Apple? Have you ever been to New York, otherwise known as the Big Apple, which means have you ever been to New York, also known as the Big Apple, also called the Big Apple, also going by the name of the Big Apple. By the way, another name of New York is the Big Apple. So the Big Apple refers to New York. Have you ever been to New York, otherwise known as the Big Apple? The second commonly used phrase in English that you need to learn is it all comes down to something. It all comes down to something. It all comes down to something. What is the meaning of it all comes down to something? When we say it all comes down to something, it means something is the most important thing in a situation, or something is the most important factor in a situation. An example, financial success depends on a lot of factors, but it all comes down to your strategies and the decisions you make, which means financial success is dependent on a lot of factors, but the most important factor is the strategies you use and the decisions you make. Now let me focus your attention on the next commonly used English phrase that you need to learn to speak like native speakers, which is, and the rest is history. 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 What is the meaning of and the rest history, and where do we use it? And the rest is history is a phrase that we use to emphasize that we don't need to keep telling the rest of the story that we were telling the listener or the reader, because they can guess the rest of the story, or they can find out the rest of the story themselves, or they can guess what the rest of the story will be like. And the rest is history. An example, they met each other online and started dating, and the rest is history. Now they have 3 children. They met each other online and started dating, and the rest is history. Now they have 3 children. They met each other online and started dating, and now the rest is history. They met each other online and started dating, and now the rest is history, which means they met each other online and started dating, and I don't need to continue or proceed with the rest of the story because you can guess the rest of the story yourself, or you're aware of the rest of the story, or you can easily guess and understand the rest of the story. So I don't have to keep telling you the rest of the story or continue to proceed with the rest of the story. The other English phrase commonly used by native speakers is or rather, or rather, or rather. What is the meaning of or rather? Where do we use it? We use or rather after a phrase or something that we've said to correct it or to explain it more clearly, or to put it in a way that is more understandable, more tangible, and obvious to the listener or the reader. So we use or rather after the clauses, sentences, or whatever we have said to explain them further and to make them more clear. She's lost her job, or rather, she's looking for a new job. She's lost her job, or rather, she's looking for a new job. She's lost her job, or rather, she's looking for a new job. She's lost her job, or rather, she's looking for a new job, which means she's lost her job. And if I want to make it more clear, now she's looking for a new job. Or if I want to explain it further and, make it more obvious, now she's looking for a new job. So she's lost her job, or rather, she's looking for a new job. Let's move on to the next commonly used English phrase that you need to learn too. to speak better and at a more advanced level, which is in other words. In other words. In other words. What is the meaning of in other words? Where do we use it? In other words is used to explain something more, to explain something further, to clarify something or make something more clear. An example. Language learners need to practice English every day. In other words, English must be their number one priority. Language learners need to practice every day. In other words, English must be their number one priority. Language learners need to practice English every day. In other words, English must be their number one priority, which means language learners must practice on a daily basis. And to make it more clear, or if I want to explain it further, to make it more clear or to clarify it, English should be their number one priority. Have you ever been in a situation in which you said something rude and impolite, and then a little bit later when you thought about it more, you realized that you should not have said it, and in that specific situation, and at that specific moment, you were looking for a phrase, an expression, or something to use to tell everyone that you were sorry for using or saying that impolite and rude word? Well, the next expression will help you do so. If you'll pardon the expression, if you'll pardon the expression, if you'll pardon the expression. What is the meaning of this expression? If you'll pardon the expression. If you'll pardon the expression is used after saying something bad and impolite or something rude to tell everyone that you're sorry for using an impolite or a rude word or a phrase. So whenever you use an impolite or a rude phrase or a word, in order to tell everyone that you're sorry for using it or for saying such an impolite, bad, or rude word, you can use this expression. If you'll pardon the expression. An example. These clothes make us look stupid. If you'll pardon the expression. These clothes make us look stupid. If you'll pardon the expression. Which means these clothes make us look stupid, and I'm so sorry for using this rude and impolite word. I know the word stupid is not polite or is not, the right word to use, but I'm sorry for using it. But these clothes make us look stupid. If you'll pardon the expression. The next commonly used English phrase that I highly recommend that you gotta learn as a language learner to sound like native speakers is, at the end of the day. At the end of the day. I know, you must have seen this expression in movies or when talking to a native speaker, like a lot, in so many situations. But what does it mean? At the end of the day. We use at the end of the day to express our opinion on something, our viewpoint, perspective, and opinion on something, after considering all the aspects of a situation. So we say at the end of the day when we're trying to express our opinion on something, by taking all the different aspects of something into account or consideration. Your overall health is improving, but at the end of the day, you still need to stay home and relax. Your overall health is improving, but at the end of the day, you still need to stay home and relax. Which means your overall and general health is getting better and improving, but by considering all the different aspects of the situation, my final opinion on what you should do is you'd better stay home and relax. Now what I want to do is focus your attention on the next commonly used English phrase that you need to learn to sound like native speakers, which is the bottom line is, the bottom line is, the bottom line is, the bottom line is. What is the meaning of the bottom line is? The bottom line is used to say that you emphasize that the most important consideration or aspect of a situation is a certain factor, a certain thing, or a certain activity. So the bottom line is can be used to focus the listener or the reader's attention on the most important aspect or the most important facts of a situation. An example. They're not interested in your performance, and the bottom line is they will fire you soon. They're not interested in your performance, and the bottom line is they will fire you soon. They're not interested in your performance, and the bottom line is they will fire you soon. Which means they're not interested in what you do in your performance, and the most important fact of the situation is that they will fire you soon. Have you ever said something that at first you thought was completely and absolutely right, but a little bit later on you realize that it was wrong, what is the phrase or the expression that you use to say that I admit what I said was wrong and I want to correct what I said, and I know that what I said was wrong and now I want to correct it? The following expression will help you do so. I eat my words. I eat my words. I eat my words. I eat my words. It doesn't mean that you start eating your words. When you say I eat my words, it means I admit that what I said was wrong and now I want to correct it. I know I said something wrong, I admit it, and I want to correct it. So, when you say something wrong and later on you realize that it was wrong and it was not right, then you can use this phrase, I eat my words, to say that you admit that it was wrong and you're trying to correct it, or you want to say the correct one. Or you admit that you said something wrong, or what you said was wrong. I eat my words. An example. We've had a lot of tough and unfair arguments, and now I want to say, I eat my words. I was wrong. We've had a lot of tough and unfair arguments, and now I want to say, I eat my words. I was wrong. You were right. Have you ever been after an English phrase and expression that you could use in order to say that you want to express what you exactly mean? The following English expression will help you do so. To put it bluntly, to put it bluntly, to put it bluntly, to put it bluntly. To put it bluntly means, now I'm expressing what I exactly mean. I want to say what I exactly mean. So to put it bluntly is a phrase that you can use in your sentences to say what you exactly mean. An example, you're not who you said you are. To put it bluntly, I can't trust you anymore. You're not who you said you are. To put it bluntly, I can't trust you anymore. Which means, you're not who you said you were going to be, you were supposed to be. You're not who you said you would be or you were going to be. And because of that, to say what I exactly mean, I can no longer trust you. Let's proceed to the next English phrase. It stands to reason. It stands to reason. It stands to reason. It stands to reason. What is the meaning? When you say it stands to reason, it means something seems logical and reasonable and understandable to others. So, it stands to reason. An example, this project is not profitable, and it stands to reason that why I will never invest in it. This project is not profitable, and it stands to reason that why I will never invest in it, which means this project is not profitable, will not generate the money that we need or the money that we're looking for, which is why it is logical and reasonable that why I will never invest in it. Have you ever tried to remember something but you were not sure that what you were going to say was right or wrong? Have you ever doubted what you were going to say because you were not sure whether it was correct or wrong, or right or wrong? Well, every time you want to say something and you're not sure whether what you're about to remember is right or wrong, you can use the following expression. If my memory serves me right. If my memory serves me right. If my memory serves me right, which means if I remember correctly. If I remember correctly. An example. If my memory serves me right, your name was Alex, right? If my memory serves me right, your name was Alex, right? If my memory serves me right, your name was Alex, right? Which means if I remember correctly, your name was Alex, right? Am I right? I'm not sure whether I remember your name correctly or not. Have you ever wanted to talk about someone or something that you don't know much or a lot about, and also wanted to emphasize that you don't really care about them or they're not that important to you? Well, the following expression will help you say so. For all I know. For all I know. An example. I have no updates on Alex. For all I know, he was injured in a car accident. I have no updates on Alex. For all I know, he was injured in a car accident. I have no updates on Alex. For all I know, he was injured in a car accident, which means I don't have any updates on Alex, or I don't know much about Alex, and honestly, it doesn't really matter to me that I know a lot about him because I don't really care about him. He's not important to me, and I don't care about the fact that I don't know a lot or much about him. For all I know, which means it doesn't really matter to me that what happened to him, or I don't really care about him and I don't know much about him. For all I know, he was injured in a car accident. The next commonly used English phrase is for the record, for the record, for the record, for the record. Where do we use this expression, for the record? For the record is used to emphasize that what we're saying should be remembered and also recorded, or what we're saying is important and should be remembered by everyone. For the record. An example. For the record, the one who caused the accident was not me, it was you. For the record, the one who caused the accident was not me, it was you. Which means it should be remembered. What I'm about to say should be remembered and written down by everyone, because it is important that the one who caused the accident was not me, it was actually you. Finally, we get to the last phrase that you can use to sound like native speakers, especially when someone behaves in a way that you don't understand, or someone's behavior is weird and strange to you, and you cannot make heads or tails or understand someone's behavior, which is for reasons best known to someone. For reasons best known to someone. For reasons best known to someone, which means I don't understand why someone is doing something, or the reason why someone is doing something is not clear, tangible, obvious, and understandable to me, or I cannot really understand the reason why someone is doing something, or someone is behaving in a certain way. An example. He spent lots of money on renovating his house, and now for reasons best known to himself, he wants to demolish it. He spent lots of money on renovating his house, and now for reasons best known to himself, he wants to demolish it. He spent lots of money on renovating his house, and now for reasons best known to himself, he wants to demolish it. Which means he spent a lot of money on renovating his house, but now, for no obvious reasons, or for reasons that I cannot understand, he wants to demolish it, and that way he wants to waste all the money that he spent on renovating the house. I don't understand his behavior. I don't know why he's doing this. It's really strange to me, but anyway, for reasons best known to himself, he wants to demolish the house on which he spent lots of money. That's about all, guys. So in today's video, you learned 15 highly practical and useful English phrases that you can use to take your English to the next level and sound like native speakers. Now that you've watched the video up to this very point, I kindly want you to like this video in support of the growth of this YouTube channel, subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and leave some positive comments down below to fill me with the energy I need to keep making more of these videos. I'll be back soon.